Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in and see where this storyline is going to take us, shall we? So, this is a single story. I like to put these out on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Um, Although last week I ended up having two at about the same time. And so I think I did one on Monday. I released one on Monday, so I skipped the Wednesday one. But here we go. I just had this come out, I want to say for, I think it might have been for Leo, one of the zodiacs today. Forgive me, it might have been Aquarius. Anyway, the Orca energy is about one's song lines. So there's a lot of mythology around the world about orcas, particularly from those colder regions where there are orcas, Newfoundland, the Pacific Northwest. Oh gosh, a couple of different places. But I'm not going to go down the road too much of mythology. Instead, I'll just mention the orcas have a strong maternal grouping. They tend to be together in pods, and they share like a common language that's unique to that particular pod. And the matriarchal lineage is super important. That's kind of like who rules. And then sometimes they will get together with other pods and become like a larger group, which scientists call a clan. And then sometimes multiple clans get together and form a community. But what's interesting is that they tend to still have their own separate language, like dialects. A pod has its own unique alphabet, we'll say, that they can communicate with others, but they still retain, I guess, their own communication. And it oftentimes in a pod there will be like 5 generations. So I just thought that was really really fascinating. So we'll keep all that in mind as we start this storyline, because it could be that groupings are really important, or something to do with like family is really important. I think it's Capricorn now that I'm thinking about this. Anyway, this is a non zodiac specific singles storyline. So we assume that our character is single, yet they could have a really strong bond, or perhaps it's even representing like their place within a community, possibly. We've got a Nine of Wands sideways, we have the Magician sideways, and we have the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. Um, I actually think this could be a single character who's thinking that it's too late for them to, either they're a little bit worried, but they're making peace with it. They used to think that they wanted to create like a maybe their own pod, become the matriarch or patriarch of like their own family unit. And it almost looks like they're saying, I don't even know that I'm worried about it anymore. I don't know that I need that anymore. Maybe this is a character. It doesn't mean that this character won't ever have children of their own or won't create a family unit, but they just might not be stressing out about it. It's kind of like, I'm not going to put my energy into worrying about that, which I think is great. I mean, less worry is always better. If anything, we have the Death card here, Scorpio energy. Hold on. This feels like, and by the way, we did have Virgo Gemini as well with the Magician, but we got the Judgment sideways. I'm going to say this. We have a single character who is definitely kissing goodbye an idea of a particular person possibly ever being the one that they reconcile with. And that could have been a person that they once upon a time like really wanted to create a nuclear family with, create, babies, or, whatever, have the house with the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the dog, and they know that that's not happening now. They're done with it themselves. They put an end to even wanting that. There was closure here. And I think in a lot of ways, I'm going to say, I think it's a bit of a relief, because the Death card represents the end of something, but also a renewal. So even though, like I say, this is a single storyline, still with those single storylines, we will still also have, like relationships and such that impact a single character's mindset or their actions, or encourage them or inhibit them. We have the Empress along with that Four of Wands. I gotta say, I think our single character has not at all given up on the idea of having some kind of a family unit, but I think it's going to be different than what they initially thought it was going to be. It's not with a particular person. And what that means is, the image that a character would have dreamed of having, like, oh, my partner has brown hair, so and brown eyes, and I'm picturing, whatever, my babies will have little, beautiful brown eyes that look up at me. And now it's like, actually, no, that wouldn't be what my babies would look like. My babies would look like someone else's eyes. It feels like we have a character who's ready to not just daydream, but to manifest a completely different kind of a partnership. Now, at this point in time, if once upon a time they thought they were going to have kids with somebody, I mean, maybe they did do that, but there's no reconciliation between themselves and that former partnership. And what this new partnership is going to look like is going to be very different. It may not involve children. It may be a partnership, because this is like a partnership of the spiritual um, promise, the spiritual bond. It may not be a traditional marriage that they end up in later on, but they're sitting here kind of happily envisioning it and calling it in for themselves. And the reason I say that we have somebody who's manifesting it is because an Empress is great at manifesting. This Our single character could be masculine or feminine, it doesn't matter, but I will say the Empress would fit very strongly into that matriarchal society that we talked about with the Orcas. And they're coming across as someone who still intends to be like head of their pod, right? But they want a partner beside them, but they're actively calling in a different kind of a partner for themselves. Now we have, even though I keep saying she's manifesting it, she wants to welcome somebody into her world. I'm almost feeling like this could be a long distance. It could be somebody that she's met online. It could be somebody that she's inviting to enter her life somehow. It doesn't have to be online, but it just is starting to look a little bit like, well, we have the Chariot here. Definitely there's travel involved, is what I would say. So I'm going to say that she is energetically, I feel like she already knows someone who she got the hots for, somebody that she'd like that person to come toward her. She is, let's say, sending out the bat signal. Now she may literally send out an email and say, you know what, I'm actually single at this point of my life. I'm not, nope, I'm done. I'm over it with an ex. We had our final dance. We said goodbye nicely, but there's absolutely no return of exes. So, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready for you to come visit. I don't know who you might be, right? But it could be a Cancerian with that Chariot. We have the High Priestess and the Moon. A lot of major arcana in this whole storyline, right? It's as if they've known this day was coming, and so has she. These two, for whatever reason, even though this is the Moon card, you notice how we have two towers on it, and then we got the big old scary tarantula, the enormous tarantula, smack dab in the middle. These two have been in separation from each other. They have not yet been able to I'm gonna say, come toward each other to date, even though they both knew this day would come. I can't think who sings it. If it's Dionne Warwick, Our Day Will Come. But their day, I feel like they've known for a long time that one another existed. And I feel like they've known for a long time that someday, it's almost like he had a premonition. Someday I'm gonna be driving my Chariot. Somebody could have a car with it, like a specific hood ornament on it. Something that's quite, I'm not saying it's a dragon. I don't know. I'm actually seeing like I think like a puma or something. I don't know if there's a car that has like a running cat on it. I'm sorry, I don't know cars. It's just that's what I'm envisioning, is like somebody who has a muscle car or something as some kind of like a chromy hood ornament thing on it. Now here it's a kind of like the hood ornament on the dragon is a lotus flower, which is bloomed, which would represent love. But I'm looking at this in my mind's eye like there's a chrome hood ornament of a like a running cat or something. Um, this is Year of the Dragon. We got the dragon here. I'm going to say it is definitely within this year's time frame that they are headed her way. But they both knew that this was going to happen. Maybe they didn't know exactly when, but they knew that this day would present itself. Let me just ask this: what has their sense of awareness of one another been in all this time? You know, knowing that their time wasn't yet has caused one or maybe both of them grief, but the divine timing had not come into play for them yet. They could not be together. What was their main obstacle in the sense that they could not be together? King of Cups. I mean, it very well could be, especially since we saw a lot of Scorpio energy for the individual that she seems to be closing a chapter with. This looks like she was very much in love with someone. I keep saying she, but just remember, I don't read for genders, but because of what we've seen on the cards, that's the way I'll tell the story, right? But we saw a lot of scorpionic energy here. She's coming across as a Libra Taurus, as an Empress. Um, but we have water everywhere in general, right? We see them coming forward. We see the moon there, so Pisces. We have the high priestess here, so we talk about Cancer, Pisces, and sometimes I throw in a dash of Virgo there too. But there's so much emotion. This is a very, whatever, I'm going to say she was the one who was in some other connection at one point in time, possibly, and that had to end. But it had the right reasons and at the right time. It and it has. It's over. She's not reconciling with whomever her previous King of Cups was. Thing is that King of Cups is in the upright. I don't know if this is a situation where these two knew each other because of the King of Cups, and so it was definitely like taboo until things had closed between her and the King of Cups. Tell me about that moon being sideways. How is it that they both knew that one day this day would come? Three of Pentacles. Okay, so they could have worked together. Knight of Cups and the Hierophant. Okay, I'm gonna say that they already had spent enough time together that they knew we would be good together. But that Three of Pentacles makes me think that they did maybe all work together, or maybe this was a bit of a taboo relationship because our single character had to be single from that King of Cups before they could start a relationship with someone else, a friend or somebody like that that was a former colleague of the two of them. There has been like maybe they even said though we could have been successful, or maybe there's some joke about, oh, this is my work wife, my work husband, but it wasn't really a joke because there was definitely emotion, and I feel like emotion might have been expressed in a very respectful manner. um, but I just feel like their higher selves knew someday. I think it will be you and I. Now remember, this is a single character storyline, so to me, our lead character has to have been, I feel like something keeps biting or itching my neck, but I feel like our single character must be single for some length of time before there's going to be any kind of connection, right? That it definitely doesn't seem like this would be something where they just jump into, jumping from one ending to a new beginning instantly, because like I say, it's a single character's story. They become single in body, mind, and spirit, and then they can step forward into the next connection. And there could be some kind of a delay, um, because there is distance between our single character and this individual. But it does feel like this is one of those stories where at last uh, the right pairing can come into a union. But I do want to make a note. That King of Cups was upright. I don't believe that the person that she was previously with was some, heinous, horrible villain. They were loving, they were kind, or at least that's the way it came across. And we have a soulmate energy of a Six of Cups that was sideways. I'm just wondering if the relationship was completed, but they maybe even part ways still caring about each other. It could even be saying, you know what, we should have always just been friends. I care so much about you, but in truth, we've been not meant to be in a romance for a very long time. There's just something here where like the dynamics have changed, and even if there's a lot of love between her and that King of Cups that will continue to exist, I don't think that they were the right matchup, and they've known it for a long time. So it's more like she's been single in her heart space for a long time, and now it's official. But she's not going to be single very long, like truly, authentically single, because almost immediately, whomever this I'll say the Cancerian, the person who's riding their chariot to come on toward her, that's coming in when she invites them. It's very much on her invitation. So it's when she's ready, they'll be there. Let me get one more card just on their energy. Okay, so we have the Magician sideways, we have the Four of Wands, and we've got the Fool. Is it Wiz Khalifa who sings "I'll Roll Up"? It's like whenever she calls, baby, I will roll up. They have not tried to force their hand and say, when is she going to call me? I need her to call me. They've been very much like, yes, I'm ready to jump if she ever gives me the signal that she's free, she's ready, and she wants to have that Four of Wands with me. But it's not for me to decide when. They were very patient, I feel. They weren't trying to over manifest it. It was more like, if this is meant to be, it'll come to pass. Things have to unveil themselves at the right time, for the right reasons, in the right way. I just feel like the fact that this was handled in a way where there was like a natural progression. Her previous connection with that King of Cups had to come to not just a close, but a nice close, a nice ending, for a reason. Probably because they were soulmates, and so there was love there. It's sometimes it'd be easier if somebody was a terrible villain, because then it's like, okay, I can end this and never think back about it. But when it's somebody that you go, I care about you, you care about me, but we're not meant to be. Now what do? Well, we got to dismantle our lives and part ways amicably, and I'm not going to leave you hanging, so it could take some time to exit this nicely, and in fact could be a slow detachment for her and that King of Cups, even though there's this other person that she feels bonded to, and vice versa, that Four of Wands person that rides the chariot and comes toward her as soon as she's ready to give them the invitation. Still, they waited patiently, because it was very much about divine timing. And it was also, this is one of those storylines where it's nice to see a respectful behavior, especially in endings, and then, moving forward in life and starting a new life with a new partnership. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. If you do enjoy the channel, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe. I'll see you in the next. Bye.